Welcome everyone to this week's video. Today we are on Fish Friday number 44 and we have a good one. Today we are going to be talking about a fish that almost everyone has heard of, but I can almost guarantee you everyone doesn't understand this fish. Today we are going to be talking about the Candiru catfish. Candiru, scientific name Vandellia cirrhosa. Again, that's Vandellia cirrhosa. It has other common names known as the Candiru, the toothpick fish, or the vampire fish, for reasons that you're probably aware of, but maybe not. But we'll get into that. It is part of the family Trichomycteridae. That is just it's one of the largest family. Let me rephrase that. It is one of the most widespread family of catfish in the entire world. It is native to the Amazon river basin. So it's found in countries, the countries Bolivia, Brazil, Colombia, Ecuador, and Peru. That's where you're gonna find these. It's actually a very common fish. These are found in very shallow, slow-moving, acidic waterways, which is pretty indicative of most of your Amazon River Basin fish. And these really seem to like being over muddy or sandy bottoms. These are a scaleless catfish, as all catfish are, by the way. And it's also very translucent, as you can see here. It looks like you can see through the body, and you actually can. It is very eel-like, and they do have barbels like other catfish, but they're very small and minute, mainly in the nostrils. Now, these do have teeth. They're very, very tiny, like needles. These are very much a needle-like teeth. Small, pin-like, kind of think like the gar teeth that we talked about, but on a much smaller scale, because they're a very small fish. Primarily, you're gonna find these at 2.5 centimeters, which is about an inch long. However, I can't explain why. Sometimes they get to very, very large lengths. The maximum length ever recorded is 17 centimeters. Now, I'm going to be completely honest with you. This fish was very hard to research on, because there's actually a bunch of different fish that are called Candiru. Both just the common names. It's just a big confusion. Really hard to kind of pick out a specific species. But this seems to be the most common one and the most well known. So that is why we chose it. Before we move on, the very last physical aspect of this is that they have very large black eyes. Now, why have you heard of this fish? Why has almost everyone heard about this fish? This is actually a parasitic fish. This is parasitic. These actually do drink blood. Let me rephrase that. These eat blood. So that is why one of the common names of this fish is the vampire fish. Because of its diet, it drinks blood. Now, when a Candiru locates a host, another fish, it will swim towards the gills of the fish. There is some debate how they're doing this. Are they sensing ammonia? Because remember, humans and mammals, they have urine. Not to get too nasty, but they have a urine. That's how they expel liquid waste from the body. Well, fish actually secrete ammonia straight from their gills. So there is a possibility that they're sensing the ammonia from the gills. Now, once they get past the gill cover, because fish usually have a hard gill flap, basically, that's covering their gills, because those gills are really sensitive. Once these fish get past the gill covers, they will use those tiny needle-like teeth to latch onto either the ventral or the dorsal aortic arteries or aortal artery. But one of the major arteries of the fish. And then, as I accidentally showed this picture a little earlier, they have tiny spines that help them kind of stay attached to the host fish while they're eating. So those spines, just kind of help them stay still, stay locked in while they're feeding. However, it is something that's very interesting about this fish is they actually don't suck the blood out of the host fish. What these fish do is they'll use their needle-like teeth and they'll kind of chew their way, and once they get a large enough hole open in the artery, they actually just stay attached and then allow the host's blood pressure to pump the blood straight into their stomach. So essentially they're latching on and then opening up their throat and just letting the blood pump itself. So they're not even expending any energy sucking the blood. It's literally letting the host do all the work. Now, the length of how long they stay attached is usually between 30 and 145 seconds. It's usually very short. These are not a parasite that usually kills its host. They can if enough of them are attached, but usually it's only about 30 to 145 seconds. And then after it finishes eating, quotations, or drinking the blood, it will release itself and then sink to the bottom. And remember, we said that these live on muddy or sandy bottoms. Well, they are actually use that because they will bury down into the muddy or sandy bottom, and that's where they digest. That's where they primarily live. They really only leave the sand or mud. They unbury themselves. They really only do that when they are trying to eat or when they are trying to reproduce, which, by the way, there is almost nothing known about the reproduction of this fish. There's actually extremely very little known about the Candiru catfish. Common as it is and as unique as it is, and has as much media attention as it has gotten, there's actually not a whole lot known about this. Now, why have you heard of this? And this is the interesting fact that we're going to end the video on. Why have you heard of this? Well, there's always the, stories, you've heard on the media, you've heard on river monsters, that these fish have swam up a male part of the body while he was urinating in the river, and it gets stuck up there. So don't go to the bathroom in the Amazon. And Amazons are actually, and native Amazonians are apparently very aware of this, and they protect themselves, yada yada. However, from all the scientific looking around and looking at this stuff, they actually rarely, I'm not going to say never, because there is a reason that they are there, but I'm not going to say never, but I am going to say that rarely, if ever, do these fish actually enter into the urethra of a person. Seems like that's actually a very big misconception. These completely don't go after. There are reports dating from extremely long ago. The reports are from the 1800s though, and those were actually women that were those report, which would kind of make sense because women do have a slightly larger urethra than men. The first documented case, and I'm going to put documented in quotations, first documented case was in 1997. However, it was actually not believed by many people out there. There's a whole bunch of things that the doctor said he did and that the fish did, and it doesn't quite add up. It just, things didn't quite mesh in that surgery, what he was saying versus what they were saying. I'm not saying it's true, but the likelihood of this is happening, because it's very important to note that whether it is male or female, Candiru catfish would almost immediately die within just a couple of minutes because they would actually suffocate themselves. Plus, it'd be way too small for them to actually. It came out in 2001 that these fish don't seem to like urine at all. They do not like urine at all. They actually will actively avoid it. And also that 2001 study said that they actually use a bunch of sight. They are primarily sight predators. So they see a fish and then they'll find the gills by sight instead of by smell. Now, I'm of the personal opinion, and this is with me with having no scientific study on this, I'm of the personal opinion, but I'd like to think an educated opinion, that these actually use a combination of both ammonia sensing, smelling, and sight. Because these do live in pretty turbid waterways, and sight is not always the best way to find your meals. I'm not going to say that, but I do think that they probably have some ammonia sensing processes going on in their body. However, important to note, I'm not going to say it hasn't happened, but there's never been an officially documented case that's been verified and without controversy that these have actively swam up a urethra of any person. So please know this. How much is a fish? That, give me 1 second. I completely forgot how to look this up. You can buy these for the aquarium trade. They're kind of difficult to take care of. The problem is there's so many different species of Candiru catfish. By species, there's so many different things that people call Candiru. Candiru is kind of a generalized term for a very eel-like translucent fish. So let's see. Let's say. So the leopard Candiru catfish, what is called Idoglonus amazonicus. Apparently this one is, so apparently this one is also parasitic. $25. Not this exact species, but the leopard spotted candiru. So $25. I know you can get these in the aquarium. And some people say they take to traditionally pair foods, but don't get a Candiru for your aquarium. Please don't. But thank you guys so much again. I really appreciate it, and I hope to see you again. If I don't, please be safe. Have a great day. Please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. If you do, I'd really appreciate it, and I hope to see you again. Like I said, thank you guys so much again. Take care of yourselves. Take care of your loved ones. Happy Mother's Day to everyone, and